Let's take a look at Strathmore watercolor versus Arches watercolor. Both of them are 140 pound. The Arches watercolor is 100% cotton. Strathmore doesn't really tell you what it is, but the Arches has more texture, more tooth to the paper, and the Strathmore, even though it does have a little bit of texture to it, it's a little bit more smooth. So the first thing I'm going to test on it is distress reinkers. This is one of my favorite ways to watercolor. I like the dye reinkers because they're nice and transparent. You can go from dark to light really quickly and easily. And because they're already fluid, it goes down on the paper beautifully. The next we're going to test is distress watercolor pencils. I'm just picking up the color from the end of the pencil. When I'm working with the distress watercolor pencils, I find the color doesn't go quite as far as the distress reinkers, so I will go over it a second time just to put a little bit more color on that paper. I'm noticing while working with the two of them that the watercolor tends to go a little bit, it floats on the surface a little bit more of the Strathmore. The Arches, because it has a little bit more tooth, it almost feels like it's a little bit drier, even though I'm trying to make sure that my brush is as wet as it can be to do the watercoloring. The last watercolor that I'm using is Cotman watercolors. It's a student watercolor. It's comes in a tube as a paste, and I've got it in a tray here. Once again, same as the other ones. The Arches, because of the tooth, it feels a lot drier and it soaks into the paper very quickly, and the Strathmore, it stays on top. Both of these papers work nicely for watercolor, but I would stick to the Strathmore for someone that's just starting out, and I think the Arches is a little bit better for someone that's got a bit more experience. I also know that the Strathmore is a little bit more economical, which is great for starting out as well.